For a very long time, I thought I needed to push myself harder to feel motivated. What I didn't realize was that my brain was just overstimulated and exhausted. So in this video, I want to share 7 habits that give you better dopamine hits, the ones that actually support your nervous system, help you stay consistent, and make life feel calmer instead of more demanding. These are habits I use in my own life, especially on days when I'm low on energy, bored, or tempted to scroll, and they work because they're realistic and sustainable. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Veronika. On this channel, I make videos on self-improvement, sustainable habits, and creating a life you love. If you like to use Notion just like me, I think you will get a lot of value out of my life design Notion database. It includes 4 main trackers: a habit tracker, a goal tracker, a reading tracker, and a weekly task planner. The product is truly an all-in-one system that helps you bring clarity, structure, and calm into your days without the pressure of adding more. It's something that I use every single day. If you want to check it out, you can use the link in my description. Okay, so let's begin with the first habit that will give you better, more sustainable dopamine than just being on your phone and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So the first habit is add a new twist to a familiar hobby. I love routines. I love having a consistent routine that I like to follow every day or every week. But at the same time, there is this other side to it. When we repeat the same things over and over again, they often start feeling boring or heavy. Not because we're lazy, but because our brain stops paying attention to something that's way too predictable. It just doesn't feel exciting anymore. And that is where the twist comes in. Because when it comes to changing things up and helping yourself get out of this mood where you feel extremely bored, I don't want you to try to uproot your whole identity and change your whole life. That is probably going to make your nervous system feel extremely unsafe. When you keep the core of something that you already like, let's say for me, I like yoga, I like moving my body every single day, but you change the context just a little bit to make it feel more exciting, to make it feel new again, your brain starts to wake up. It gets this small sense of novelty without getting overwhelmed. I'm a person too, and sometimes I don't want to exercise. Sometimes I don't want to practice yoga. I feel bored, I feel lazy. That's completely normal because it's something that I do almost every single day. When I feel this way, I try to add a twist. So instead of exercising at home, and I usually practice yoga at home, I go to a local studio, or I go do yoga at the park, or I purchase an online course. I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm still practicing yoga, but to make it feel a little bit more exciting, to add this freshness to it again, I try to create a new environment for myself, or I change things up a bit. It's still familiar enough to feel safe. I'm not forcing myself into something completely new. I'm respecting what my body and my nervous system already enjoy, while giving my brain just enough newness to make it feel exciting again. Habit number 2 that is going to give better dopamine hits is take time to do beautiful things. You guys know this already. It's something that I share a lot on my YouTube channel, my past experiences with being a control freak and putting productivity above all else. Because of that, for a very long time, I only allowed myself to do things that were truly productive. If something didn't lead to work, results, or progress, my brain labeled it as not important. And over time, I started feeling like I became very disconnected from doing things just because. And a few weeks ago, I was looking over the list of my core values, and I was really surprised to notice that this year I added the value beauty to it. Not just physical beauty and physical appearance, but appreciating beauty around me and letting myself engage in beautiful things just because. You know this trend of romanticizing your life, and unfortunately recently it turned into something completely different because of consumerism. Now we think that to romanticize your life you need to buy, whereas in reality the core idea of romanticizing your life is noticing beautiful things around you that you already have. When you intentionally take time to do something beautiful just because, it sends a very powerful signal to your nervous system. I'm allowed to enjoy my life, not optimize it. One thing that I discovered for myself recently is that I quite enjoy creating photo books. The thing is, I have so many pictures just sitting in my phone. And if we really think about it, we don't really check our camera roll very often. Maybe when I'm on the plane, when I'm flying somewhere, I will just declutter my phone a little bit and look at my photos. And realizing that made me feel really sad. And so I really wanted to turn those memories into something that I could experience again, something more tangible. For example, this is my 2024 photo book. I'm just showing you guys some photos of me because obviously I have a lot of very personal pictures in here with my family, my friends, my husband. And so this is just an example. It teaches me how to slow down without forcing me to stop completely. And when you allow yourself to enjoy the process, not rushing, not treating it like a project you need to complete right now, today, your brain starts to relearn that pleasure doesn't need to be earned through productivity. Beauty and appreciating beauty around you starts feeling safe again. Habit number 3 that is going to give you better dopamine hits is make it less tempting to use your phone. We often say that we want to use our phones less, but at the same time, we're buying all of those little accessories and little pretty things for our phones. And so we make them look more attractive, more tempting to touch, to hold, and to use. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to realize that the more pleasant and accessible your phone is, the more often your brain reaches for it without thinking. Instead of constantly telling myself, don't check your phone, I make it slightly inconvenient. Let's say when I'm going somewhere, I just put my phone deep into my bag so that I'm less likely to actually pull it out and look at it when I'm walking somewhere. I keep it off the table when I'm with family or with friends, when I go to restaurants. When your phone is always face up and you get a notification, that pulls your attention. Even for like a microsecond, your brain registers it, you notice it. Also, what I do here is I try to replace phone functions when possible. What I mean by that is I ask myself, what do I use my phone for? And let's say in the morning, I use it to set an alarm. How can I replace my phone with something else that acts as an alarm? I can buy an alarm clock. And so this way I have an alarm set and my phone is somewhere in a different room. The goal isn't to remove your phone from your life completely. Let's be honest. Right now, in 2026, this is not realistic. But to stop it from being the default object you're constantly touching. Moving on, habit number 4 is use the nice version of something on an ordinary day. Many of us were taught to save nice things for a special occasion. Nice clothes, nice makeup, nice dishes, nice shoes, all of that is usually reserved for some day. And because of that, we started treating ordinary days like something to get through, not something to enjoy and appreciate. Over time, this creates this quiet belief that we are not the occasion. You don't want to be seen as too much, you don't want to attract a lot of attention, even though deep down, you really want to use that. This habit is not about impressing anyone. It's about enjoyment for its own sake. This sends a signal to your brain that my life doesn't need an excuse to be cared for. Ordinary days stop feeling like filler time. They become part of your life, not something you rush past while waiting for something better. Habit number 5 that is going to give you better, more sustainable dopamine is take care of something that will take care of you later. Basically, the way that I like to implement this habit is at night before going to bed, I love to close down my kitchen, to wash the dishes, to wipe down the counters, to make sure that everything looks neat and organized before I go to bed. Because I know that in the morning when I wake up, I'm going to feel so much better seeing that I don't need to wash a pile of dishes first thing in the morning. And I have to add something super important here. I don't want this habit to become all about perfectionism for you. Like my house has to be perfect before I can do anything because this is how I'm taking taking care of my future self. It's not about being disciplined all the time, and it's not about having everything look perfect. It's about recognizing what those moments and what those things are for you personally. When your energy is low, when your brain is tired from making decisions, what is going to make you feel like you are taking care of your future self? You are basically creating a softer landing for tomorrow. Over time, this really builds self-trust because you remind yourself that I take care of myself when I'm tired, not just when I feel motivated. Let's actually stay here a little bit more and talk about habit number 6. Reduce decisions when you're tired. In general, in life, we make two types of decisions: cool state decisions and warm state decisions. A cool state decision is a decision you make when you're calm, rested, and thinking clearly. Nothing really feels urgent, nothing really feels overwhelming, and you're ready to set intentions and create plans. This is when you can actually decide what's good for you long term. Whereas a warm state decision is a decision you make when you feel tired, stressed, hungry, bored, or overstimulated. In this state, your brain wants comfort now. And dopamine is exactly what's driving you towards the easiest reward accessible. Scrolling, snacking, skipping routines, not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to conserve energy and feel better faster. If you really think about it, dopamine is the chemical that pushes you to want things. It's what makes your brain say, that looks good. Now go get it. That's why quick pleasures are often so tempting, because they give you an easy dopamine hit extremely fast, even if they make you feel worse later. But the thing is, sustainable long-term rewards are created with these cool state decisions, because they require the thinking, planning part of your brain to step in. But that part of your brain gets tired very easily, especially with how many decisions we have to make every single day. This is why reducing decisions when you're tired is so important, or having a plan for what you're going to do when you feel sleepy, tired, or overwhelmed. When you're in a warm state, your brain is not built to choose long-term rewards. So that's why it's really hard to rely on your willpower at night, and we're way more likely to eat something unhealthy before going to bed versus when we just wake up in the morning. Alright, and finally, habit number 7 is actually learn, not just save for later. I heard this so many times. I use social media because I'm learning something new. And yes, it is true. I make YouTube videos and I really hope you guys are learning something new. You're getting value out of my content. But at the same time, if we're all being truly honest, we often watch videos and then save posts and add something to our bookmarks, and we think, I'll do that later. And most of the content that we consume never actually turns into real action. It stays saved, not lived. This process gives us a small dopamine hit. We don't really need to do anything. Saving a video is so much easier than actually going and learning a skill. It feels like progress without requiring any effort. But actual learning is different. And so that is why right now, when I find myself trapped in this constant cycle of watching videos and then saving them for later, I stop myself and I ask myself, Veronika, what do you actually want to learn? Like, why are you actually saving all of these videos? Find a way to actually learn it properly, step by step, with real guidance. This is, for example, how I purchased my handstand course and how I actually learned how to do a handstand. And now that you know what habits can give you better, more sustainable dopamine hits, the next step is understanding what goes into creating the everyday routine that makes you fall in love with your own life. To learn the framework and all the principles that I like to follow, click here. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, and I'll see you in my next video.